the Justice Department's core values, and you compromise the investigation by giving out information about Mueller's investigation to the president's allies in the middle of an investigation. How much are you really helping protect Mueller? And if you compromise on your core values, what's left? And so I think Rosenstein's trying to walk this line. He's told people protecting the Mueller investigation is key, but obviously you can only do that if you keep your job, and you can only keep your job with this president if you walk that line.
Joyce Vance, is he walking that line in a way that is compromising this investigation? If we're to believe Andy McCabe's memos, and I've never seen any evidence that Andy McCabe took any memos that have ever been called into question. They were usually contemporaneous notes of Justice Department meetings. Has Rosenstein crossed any lines in your mind?
I think it's very hard to assess Rod Rosenstein on the basis of the publicly available information. Some things that people who've worked with him, as I did, know about him is that he's a straight arrow. He believes in DOJ as an institution, and he's an institution protector and a rule follower. So it seems very likely, to me at least, that Rosenstein is trying in a very difficult situation to walk a very narrow tightrope without falling off, because he believes that if he falls off, it would damage the Mueller investigation. As far as Andy McCabe's memo goes, it's disturbing. One detail that I'm not clear on is precisely what Trump asked Rosenstein to insert into the memo about Russia. We're looking at it now with hindsight. Of course, this all happened, I suppose, back in March, April, May of 2017, when these issues were less clear. So I'd like to understand a little bit more about what's going on so we can put all of this into perspective.
And Frank Figliuzzi, let's isolate that, what Joyce is talking about. So here's what Matt Apuzzo and his colleagues have reported. Mr. Rosenstein added a new detail in this meeting that Matt covers. He said the president had originally asked him to reference Russia in his memo. The people familiar with the conversation said. Mr. Rosenstein did not elaborate on what Mr. Trump had wanted him to say. But we do know, Frank Figliuzzi, that the president had asked his chief of staff, then chief of staff Reince Priebus, to have a whole bunch of officials say that the president wasn't under investigation. And they were actually asked about that request in congressional testimony. He wanted Pompeo to say that the president was not under investigation. He wanted Comey to say he wasn't under investigation. He wanted, I believe, Coates to say he wasn't under investigation. He wanted Rogers to say he was under investigation. We know that all of these people who the president asked to say he wasn't under investigation are now witnesses in the Mueller probe. How does this story fit into that fact pattern?
Well, there's a couple of interesting observations here. First, you need to establish intent to obstruct, to have an obstruction case. And